Hello again. This is Unit 2 of English A122F Presentation Skills. This time, we will discuss the communication process as the foundation of an effective presentation. By understanding the process, it is possible to increase the effectiveness of various components which make up any message. We will first identify the essential elements of the communication process. The basic communication process is similar in all interactions, as it usually involves the transferal of a message from one side to another through a medium or channel to achieve an aim. However, each specific communication situation requires the sender to make choices about how to get the message across. In other words, every sender has to make a decision about the aim which needs to be achieved by the message, the content of the message, the choice of medium, the availability of feedback channels, and possible noise which might affect the message. In the figure, you can see the main elements of the communication process and the flow and relationship between these elements. With an intention, aim, or purpose to communicate with others, a sender initiates a communication process by encoding an idea into a verbal and non-verbal message that fits the intention or purpose. The message is then sent to a receiver through a medium, which can be made of a variety of channels. The channels are subjected to various sources of internal or external noise, that is, distractions such as a mobile phone ringing. The receiver then decodes the message and tries to perceive what the sender wanted to deliver. The communication cycle is completed when the receiver transmits verbal and non-verbal feedback to indicate the reception of the message. It is important to note that all of the communication flow shown in the figure takes place within a context, the different conditions or settings upon which the communication is based. The more you know about the cultural and professional background of your receivers, the more fundamental information you will have for successfully communicating and for using a form of language that they will understand. Now, try the following MC question to refresh what you have learned just now. As you may realize, a wide variety of factors can affect the communication process. These may include any of the following: the culture and relationship of the sender and receiver, the prior knowledge or viewpoints of the sender and receiver towards the subject, the circumstances surrounding the interaction, the physical environment in which communication takes place, the language used to communicate, and the equipment or technology used to communicate. The 8 elements which make up the process can be found in any communication: informal or formal, simple or complex, long or short, business or personal. The major difference between communication at the workplace and non-business communication is the degree of formality. Business communication usually involves people with distinctive status and differences in duties, and thus tends to use more formal language. For social interactions, a more informal language is used. If you use the same language with your friend that you use with your supervisors or directors, your friend would probably find it a bit strange. Before we move on, let's review the communication process in a diagram that highlights its key features. The elements of a communication process are the sender, the sender's aim, the message, the medium, the receiver, feedback, context, and noise. All these elements are interrelated and they work systematically. In the broadest terms, the sender is the person who acts as the starting point to kick off a communication process. In every form of communication, there must be a sender who takes the initiative to communicate in response to external stimuli, like a request from the superior or some information received, or internal stimuli, such as a feeling or an idea. In presentation situations, The sender of the message is specifically referred to as the presenter. Regarded as a source of the message, the sender is the one who is most familiar with the information and content to be transferred. He or she usually sets the ground rules to achieve the aims set forth and makes decisions about the content, style, and tone of the communication, including the level of formality, how personal it is to be, and the impact to be achieved. The sender also decides on the channel of presentation, which also refers to the medium selected, to transmit the message to the receiver. The sender is strongly influenced by the culture and the interpersonal relationships within the organization. For example, some workplaces do not welcome a junior staff member writing a memo to the managing director, and all communications to senior management should be made through the department heads. Other workplaces, however, encourage a more open communication flow, so that an account executive could send an email directly to the chief executive officer. To check your understanding of the main points explained just now, please try the following MC questions. The next element of the communication process is the aim or purpose. In every communication, there must be something a sender wants to achieve before initiating the communication. The aim of a casual communication is often to inform or to exchange ideas, feelings, or knowledge. When you chat with your colleagues about your new smartphone, you are sharing ideas and comments on the features or functions of the new model. In contrast, the aims of most business communication are instructional, informational, and persuasive. For example, a project manager may inform subordinates or colleagues about a subject and seek their cooperation or help. It is sometimes necessary to seek approval or agreement to a proposal or budget plan from the supervisors or management team. If the aim means the purpose of communication, the message is a form or package of the communication. The message refers to the information that the presenter provides to this audience, whether verbally or non-verbally. When presentations are poorly organized, the impact of the message is reduced and the audience is less likely to accept the presenter and the presented ideas. So it is important for presenters to know and understand the audience, define their purpose and structure and position, and pitch the message to the interest of the prospective audience in order to meet their goals. When composing and delivering message, you may use your prior knowledge, experiences, attitudes, and skills to help you express the information. Don't forget that the message should be linked with the aims, because any distorted message may not create the actions or objectives set forth. For example, in a sales presentation, presenters should highlight the key features of the product in terms of the interest and benefits to the audience. If they only present all key features without telling the audience why they should purchase it, the presentation may not be persuasive enough to boost their sales. It is commonly believed that receivers, or the audience, take a passive role in the communication process, especially when no feedback channel or offer of help is given. They are usually positioned on the receiving end of the communication process, reacting to the messages, channels, and aims decided by the sender. However, receivers are expected to decode the message and complete the process by giving the feedback. If receivers do not provide feedback, the communication process will not be interactive. Presenters may not know any of the audience individually, and the audience may not share any of the presenter's aims. As a result, the presenters often have to try to learn something about their audience before making a presentation. Now, having learned about the receivers, you may try the following MC questions to check your understanding of the topic. The medium is the channel that carries the message. It includes verbal elements such as pitch, projection, articulation, and non-verbal elements like gestures, facial expressions, body movement, posture, and the use of space. It also includes written elements such as sales scripts or presentation slides, and pictorial or visual elements such as charts, diagrams, photos, graphs, and objects. The choice of medium may be constrained by factors such as the number of people involved, the availability of certain types of equipment or technology, and the urgency of the communication. When selecting the appropriate medium, you need to ask these sorts of questions. Is this medium appropriate to my audience and my message? Should I use a combination of medium? For example, words on paper and words in person. Does the medium appeal to the audience? Can the presenter afford to use the medium? Can the medium explain what needs to be explained? What are the benefits of using images such as diagrams, pictures, and charts? How much information can be carried in the selected medium? Now, based on your knowledge about medium in communication, analyze the following case scenarios and tackle the MC questions. Feedback is a way to tell whether the communication is successful and well perceived. It is a process through which the presenter receives information about the extent the message received by the receivers. Gathering feedback helps the sender to recognize whether the receiver has decoded the message. Common means of gathering feedback during or after a presentation include question and answer sessions, questionnaires, or informal chats with participants. In business or educational communications, the feedback from receivers is often affected by the organizational or institutional culture and the status of the sender and the receivers. Generally, context is defined as any information that can be used to categorize the situation and the concerns of a person, or subject that is considered critical to the interaction between the sender and the receivers. Context, in other words, refers to the physical, mental, and emotional factors that affect the behavior of senders and receivers in the communication process. In business communications, the context of the sender and of the receiver are often markedly different. If both parties are not working in the same department or company, they may have little shared training or experience, leading to different interpretations. A communication block may develop, and this, in turn, may create tension in their relationship. Even if they are working in the same company, the issue of status or job duties may make their contexts or concerns different from each other. This diagram summarizes some of the elements that can contribute to the context of the senders and receivers in business communication. The basic communication process is the same in every situation, and there is a certain level of similarity across all types of interaction. However, different situations may have different conditions or settings within which each distinct interaction is based. The following factors may affect the communication process. The first factor is the audience's prior knowledge about the content of presentation. For example, if an audience already knows something about the presenter's message or finds it personally relevant, it will probably be remembered more clearly. In contrast, if an audience knows absolutely nothing about a topic and the presenter does not simplify or explain the message clearly, it will probably be lost on the audience. The second contextual factor is the emotions or physical state of the audience during the presentation. A tired audience can't be as receptive as a fresh audience. An audience that is feeling uncomfortable will probably be thinking about things other than the presenter's message. The last contextual factor is the cultural background, education, or social status of the audience. How easy do you think it would be to talk about dim sum to an audience that had never been to a Chinese restaurant? How easy would it be to talk to primary school students about religion or philosophy? What sort of presentation would you give if your audience could not read or write? All this can affect the process of communication. Information constantly bombards our senses, creating noise. or in other words, distractions to the communication process. Noise can be defined as any distractions or diversions that may interrupt the reception and perception of the message or make it difficult for the receivers to respond. A sudden electricity breakdown that makes the light go out during the climax of an after-dinner speech. Parents with a crying baby in the audience. Whisperers sitting next to an attentive listener. And daydreamers that look bored by the presentation are all typical examples of noise. Common sources of noise can be both internal and external. Internal noise is the thoughts and feelings that interferes with the meaning of a message. For example, when a presenter or the audience daydreams or loses his or her train of thought. External noise can be caused by distracting sounds or physical distractions, such as people talking or coughing, poor temperature, or poor ventilation. It can also result from visual interference, such as poor lighting or an obstructed view. When internal or external noise occurs, the flow of communication can be badly affected. Mixed messages are a common example of noise. There may be cases where words communicate one thing, but the body language communicates another. Body language is a powerful tool for adding important insights to face-to-face communications, but it may also make a message confusing. For instance, when a project manager presents a budget proposal to a board of directors, but crosses his arms or puts his hands in the pockets. His body language may result in the perception that he is communicating problems instead of asking for approval for the budget proposal. In this unit, we have discussed the role played by different elements of communication. Next week, we will continue to look into the barriers of communication and suggest ways of overcoming them. So, bye for now and see you next time.